February 7th, 2020. We welcome you here. For the record, we have all of our council members and trying to think of the right term for Steve. Kind of in between, so.
Be careful.
We'll swear him in a few minutes, but they're all present this evening. We have members of our staff, we have members of the public, families. We welcome you for this evening and those others that are here. So we invite you to sign in if you haven't out at the table in front of the door there, so we have a record. I'd like to read a poem tonight that I heard last night. We have our Weber Area Council of Government meetings the first Monday of every month, and Mayor Corey Green, Mayor of Hooper, he read a poem just before we did the Pledge of Allegiance, and I thought it was really good, and I'd like to share that with you this evening. My iPad's doing tricky stuff here, so we'll see how I do with it. It's entitled "The Flag" by Baxter Black. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the flag that flew over Valley Forge, was torn in two by the gray and the blue, and bled through 2 world wars. I give you the flag that burned in the street in protest, in anger and shame. The very same flag that covered the men who died defending her name. We now stand together, Americans all, either by choice or by birth, to honor the flag that's flown on the moon and changed the face of the earth. History will show this flag stood a friend to the hungry, the homeless, and lost, that a mixture of men and women as common as clay valued one thing beyond cost. And they've signed it in blood from Bunker Hill to Saigon, Kuwait, Bosnia, Baghdad, and Tokori. I give you the flag that says to the world, each man, woman, and child has a right to be free. Could I invite you to all stand and repeat the Pledge of Allegiance with me?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next, move on to our moment of silence. As we begin our meeting this night, we usually start with a moment of silence, and as we do this, we would ask you to remember those who are serving in our military, defending this great nation and our many freedoms. Also ask you to remember our police and firefighters, our first responders, and that put themselves in harm's way every day in our behalf. Also ask you to remember our city council this evening, that they might make good choices and decisions in the best interest of those who live and come to our community. Now take a moment of silence. Thank you. Next, move on to period for public comment. This is an opportunity for you to come forward and address the City Council about any ideas or concerns that you might have. If we'd ask you to come forward to the microphone, use the mic, and state your name, and if you would, try to keep your comments to 3 minutes. Time is yours for public comment. Seeing none, we move on next to presentations and reports. Mayor's report, just a couple of items, and we discussed these in our work session. Utah Department of Transportation has approved a sound wall. It'll be on the other side of the freeway for residents who live on 1700 West. That's south of 4800 South. And that's, I don't know if you know John Cypers, that area over there. It's that neighborhood there, but they'll have a sound wall clear along that road south to the freeway entrance down there. So that's something to come in the future. What was it, a week ago Sunday, Chief, the church made the donation, or is it 2 weeks? I think about a week ago Sunday. The Washington Heights Church made a donation to the Riverdale Police Department, $15,000. And it's to enhance their armor protection. I understand it's an insert that goes underneath their vests that helps prevent them from rifle fire. But this church raised, every year they raise a substantial amount of money. A lot of it goes to feed people, feed the homeless and other groups. And this year they raised over $100,000, and this is in addition to their money that they raised to support their church. But they had our police department there. We had good representation from our police department. They called them up. They honored them for their service and presented them with a check for $15,000. So that was much appreciated. That was a real nice gesture on their part. And I know the police appreciate it too. It's a good thing. It's really nice to see that, and we sincerely appreciate their donation. Anything from the council committee assignments tonight? Do you have anything to report on from your various? It's kind of a quiet time of year for committees. But we're going to talk about committees probably in our next meeting and assignments. So now we're going to swear in our city council members that were recently re-elected. We'll start with the senior guy and work to the new guy. I'd like to go down and be sworn in, sure. Braden, yeah. Please. We're going to do them one at a time, just in case families, people would like to take any pictures. So you'll be able to photograph them.
Okay. I don't know how I'm going to raise my hand. Okay. I state your name.
I
do solemnly. Oh, yeah, sorry. State your name.
I, Braden Mitchell,
do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Utah, and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity. Perfect.
All right.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Mr. Arnold.
Great job, dude. Make a signature on
It's a challenge. Okay. I state your name.
I, Alan Arnold,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
the
the Constitution of the United States
Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity. I state your name.
I, Steve Hilton,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and that I will discharge the duties
and that I will discharge the duties
of my office with fidelity.
of my office with fidelity.
His family up there.
Excuse me.
His family, come on. Hey, Steve, you want a family photo?
Sure.
Yeah, come on up.
They're thinking, oh, I didn't do my hair properly.
I would have wore other clothes.
Not wearing the outfit that I probably wore. Be somewhere more interesting here, but this is good.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3.
Good job.
It's great. I'd like to congratulate those who were reelected, and Steve. Campaigns aren't fun. I think most of you know it. Even the family members know that is never a pleasant experience, but we appreciate each of you for taking time to carry out a campaign and be elected. Special thanks to Steve this time. I know it's we appreciate you running, and glad
Again.
to see that you're elected. I think it's a great thing, and I think you'll be a welcome addition to the council. You'll do a fine job. You've done a fine job on the planning commission, and I think everyone here respects you, the type of guy you are and what you do. So, but we do welcome you this evening, so you bet. Okay, next item, consent items. Move down first to the consideration to approve our meeting minutes from December 17th, the work session meeting. Also the minutes from the city council regular session meeting on that same evening. Is there any changes or corrections at this point? We have a motion to approve the consent items.
Motion to approve the consent items.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous in favor, Ms. Evans. Move on to our first action item. Our first action item tonight is to open a public hearing to receive and consider public comments regarding transferring city property to the redevelopment agency of Riverdale for future project area enhancement and development activities. Mr. Worthen, do you have anything on this before we hold the public hearing?
Just a brief explanation, Mayor, if I may, for those that are interested. It's a transfer of property that the city purchased back in 2009, approximately 8 acres. This would be property that's somewhat to the north and east of the Ruby River Restaurant that slopes up towards 300 West Street. This property was purchased at a really good price from an FDIC bank failure buyout, if you will. What we're trying to do as far as the Riverdale Redevelopment Agency is to have all the properties in the name of the redevelopment agency for future enhancements and betterment of the area, as well as the RDA plans and objectives. So we're requesting tonight that the city consider transferring those properties over to the redevelopment agency via approval of a special warranty deed that's included in your packets, council, for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Worthen. Do we have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, excuse me, and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The public hearing is now open. We'd like to invite you to come forward to the microphone. Again, state your name and share any thoughts you might have on this item. You ladies are welcome to go anytime that you'd like to, so you know you're able to do that. You're welcome to stay too.
Steve's walking home.
Got my own car.
Okay, seeing none for the public hearing, do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion, we have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Public hearing is now closed. Move on to item B. This is consideration now to approve the resolution 2020-01. This authorizes the transfer of real property to the RDA of Riverdale City. Do you have any questions or comments, Mr. Arnold?
I'd move to approve Resolution 2020-01 as stated within the packet.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion on the motion? Ms. Evans, would you poll the council on the resolution, please?
Councilmember Ellis?
Aye.
Councilmember Mitchell?
Aye.
Councilmember Arnold?
Aye.
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens?
Aye.
Thank you. It's unanimous in favor. Thank you. Move on to action item number 2. This is consideration to open a public hearing to receive and consider public comments regarding the amendment of the 2019-2020 fiscal year budget. Mr. Carden.
Thank you, Mayor. As we talked upstairs, most of these amendments are associated with projects in the city that are going to be completed or that have come up that we needed to adjust the budget slightly, and they're identified in the packet from pages 17 to 22. And I'm happy to answer any additional questions you may have.
Okay, with that, we'd need a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Public hearing is now open. Public's now welcome to come forward to the microphone, state your name, and if you would keep your comments to about 3 minutes concerning this amendment. Seeing none, do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor to close the public hearing?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous in favor. The public hearing is closed. We'll move on to item 2B. This is consideration to approve resolution 2020-02, amending the 2019-2020 fiscal year budget. Do you have any comments or questions on this resolution? Do we have a motion? Mr. Arnold.
Move to approve Resolution 2020-02 as stated within the packet.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion on the motion? Ms. Evans, would you poll the council on the resolution, please?
Councilmember Arnold?
Aye.
Councilmember Hilton?
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens?
Aye.
Councilmember Ellis?
Aye.
Councilmember Mitchell?
Aye.
It's unanimous in favor. Thank you. The motion passes. Move on to discretionary items for the council meeting. Are there any discretionary items, Mr. Mitchell?
I had a resident bring up a good suggestion. I'm not really sure where to send it. It has to do with UDOT and Riverdale Road, and it's over by where the Chevron was, where the possible new Starbucks might be going. When you're traveling on Riverdale Road, going kind of eastward, turning up into the terrace, that right-hand turn can kind of back up, kind of all the way to Ruby River, really. I mean, it just, when it's busy, it backs way up. And they suggested they've seen other intersections that will have a right arrow. So as the people are coming out of the terrace, you could get a right arrow going into the terrace, because people pull up and they stop and they're looking at, they don't know who's going to go, you know. And so I don't know if we can forward that to UDOT. But I think that would improve traffic flow there considerably. I kind of started to pay attention after they said that, and if we could forward that on, I think it would help the flow on Riverdale Road considerably. So,
You got that? Anything else, Mr. Stevens?
Just for my edification, seating arrangements based on seniority, is it based on when the total time or when most current iteration? Because are you more senior?
You actually get a pick.
You had a break in service, I don't know that.
So is it total time or just in your current? Anyway,
I don't
I'm
know.
just
Steve,
curious.
is there anything, you know if
Throw
it's
it-
written
You
there?
just throw a dart.
You're right in the center now, you probably get the dart.
Sounds good.
You are the bullseye.
No, it's just.
I don't know if there is. I think that's kind of what we've done. It's kind of how we've treated it. I don't know if there's anything written or not. I don't think there is.
Okay, I'm just, because.
We'll take a
it was-
look.
It was said that it was based on seniority, but I'm just curious.
Was a break in service.
So the seniority is based on not total time, it's
Break in
Probably
service.
continuous
current,
service.
whatever your
I vote-
current run is.
I vote motion to break in service.
So that's your definition?
Note of it. I'll make a note. We'll look at that just to make sure
I'm
we're
just
fair.
curious because it does better to me one way because it doesn't impact me.
John
but it-
Adams picked his spot in the Senate for a long time because he could hear stuff all around. I don't know if you've ever been in the
Yeah, because of the acoustics.
chambers or whatever.
You know what this all boils down to, don't you? The Bart had to move over one seat this change we made today, so.
I've already had to turn my head twice tonight. I was like, what?
All right, we'll look
Yeah, you
at it,
never looked
okay?
this way, huh?
The key is to be fair, so we'll try to do that. Any other discretionary?
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry. It was just more of a point of clarity.
Well, that's fine. Hope things are clear. We'll look at it though, okay? Just make sure we're being fair with that. 'Cause I don't think we've ever talked about it. I think it's just kind of how we did it at the time, so. Any other discretionary this evening for city council? Have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That meeting's adjourned. We'll move on next to our RDA meeting. Thanks you guys for being here. Okay, we'll welcome you to our RDA board meeting this evening, Tuesday, January 7th, 2020. For the record, all members of the RDA board are present. Move on next to public comment. I just wondered about Steve. There's nothing we have to do to swear him in, is there? He's just automatic as a council member. Yeah, that's why I hesitated there, so. Okay, move on next to public comment. This is a time anyone can come forward and make comments. Turn it over to the public to come forward to the microphone and make comments. Seeing none, we'll move on to presentations and reports. First item is RDA board activity. Mr. Worthen.
Mayor, thank you real quick to the board. Just like to report that we're received a letter of intent for a new restaurant facility coming into the 550 West area. I think I may have mentioned that before to some of you. That's been received. We're also receiving favorable intentions that will result in an additional LOI in that area here within the next probably couple months. That being said, we're excited about what's occurring there. Dee Hansen, who's not with us tonight, is working extensively to try and get that whole area designed out with, a development for our community. But that being said, I wanted to indicate that we're also working up on the West Bench area. We are actively pursuing the purchase of some property up in that area that can help the RDA, as well as continued discussions with the Motel 6 up in that area as well. So those are ongoing. Did want to report that to you. If I missed anything, Mike, holler, scream at me. I don't think I have, but I wanted to let you know that those two areas are continuing to go. Our 1050 West RDA is nearing its end of its life, which is the sportsman's target area. I think we have 2 years, maybe a year and a half left on that one before that actually expires. So we are sunsetting these areas. We are also drafting right now a development agreement for the school district in the 700 West CDA area, which would really provide some public infrastructure needs, or monies for those needs, I should say, in and around the 700 West area, namely for storm drain and or sanitary sewer line enhancements, if I will. That's where most of the city drains right now through there. I have note and discussion with Lance Woods on some of those items on my agenda. So some of those things we're working through in that agreement perhaps could also benefit the sewer district in some of their work. So that's really all I have as far as an update report for you on our activities right now.
Do you have any questions, Mr. Ellis?
There's a bunch of people up doing blue stakes on the city property. Is that part of the things that are going on?
Which
Across the street from my house.
from your area? It could be. Could
Okay.
also be a developer that's looking at some of the.
Yeah, they were there for half a day, so
That could be anything from just cable company to. It's nothing the RDA is undertaking though. At this
okay. Just wonder.
It's interesting. Could just be cable or something, yeah.
utility work.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Stevens?
is there, are you at liberty to discuss specifics on the West Bench property? Is that, okay.
At the moment.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. Move on next to the consent items. Approve the meeting, one item, approve meeting minutes for December 17th, 2019 for the RDA meeting. Any changes or corrections to? Seeing none, do we have a motion on the consent items?
Motion to approve consent items.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent items are approved, unanimous vote. Move on to action item E. We have one item here, which is a public hearing to receive and consider public comments regarding the 2019-2020 budget amendment. Mr. Carden, do you have any comments before we open the public hearing?
So these are just the same budget amendments from the city. We just need to formalize them in the RDA as well.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved?
Second.
Have a motion. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
The public hearing is now open for public comment. Seeing none, we need a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The public hearing is now closed. Move on to item 1B. This is consideration to approve resolution R 2020-01, which will amend the 2019-2020 budget. Do we have any questions on this or concerns? We have a motion on the resolution R 2020-01. Mr. Arnold?
Move to approve resolution R 2020-01, amending the 2019-2020 budget.
Second?
Have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion on this motion? Ms. Evans, would you poll the council, please, on the resolution?
Aye.
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 It's unanimous in favor. Thank you. Resolution R 2020-01 passes. Move on to discretionary business for the RDA meeting. Any business for this meeting?
I have just one thing to say here.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Real quick, Council, part of that LOI on that restaurant development, we'll be bringing into you documents that will allow the RDA to move forward with the construction of, if you will, 400 West Street, which would be immediately to the south of the Farmers Insurance Building. That's part of the budgeted items that we have this year, is to construct a roadway similar to what we had with 500 West and the Krispy Kreme restaurant. We'll do this one differently in the sense that the RDA is going to go out and get our own engineer. But we'll have those documents in that project forthcoming. I just wanted to put that on your radar. We'll probably also have a site plan for the council to look at as well as we move forward to that, and a plat as we get close to that area. That roadway will be a private roadway that will be under the auspices of, or control, if you will, of the development or the developer. So I just wanted to get that on your radar and let you know that'll be forthcoming here sooner than later. So thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments? Do we have a motion to adjourn then?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
You get out in time for visits. That's good.
We're trying to get